What's going on, everybody? I'm back in the studio for the latest injury news surrounding the Seattle Seahawks. I was giving you guys a warning earlier on in the week about what could be happening with the Seahawks. Obviously, you saw a long injury list, a little bit longer than what we're used to in Seattle. And some of that, though, was because, of course, the short week and the quick turnaround. So there was a little information about who was going to be healthy, if they were going to be in, if they were going to be out. We're going to dive into the latest news in that here in just a moment. But I do need to let you know we are within 600 subscribers of Dolphins Today. In fact, we're in the fives now. 500 within. How freaking cool is that? They were like 3,000 ahead of us when we first started doing the Reel 'em In. Right now, we're dangerously close to catching Dolphins Today. Shoot, maybe we'll do it by Saturday. Come on in, hit that sub button, help us catch Dolphins Today, and continue to be one of the biggest channels here on Chat Sports. All right, so the first two injuries that I want to talk about are over on the offensive line, and it revolves around our two tackles, Charles Cross and Josh Jones. Cross, we got to talk about his hamstring. Jones, we got to talk about his knee and his ankle. First, let's look at our starting left tackle. That, of course, is Charles Cross. He's played in a lot of games this year, but ever since that Colts game where he gets hurt on that final field goal, which, how ridiculous is that? How freaking ridiculous is that your starting left tackle gets hurt on a field goal? Now, it was needed to get that victory. He has been unable to play in the last two games, missed the game against the Rams, missed the game against the Carolina Panthers. He is going to miss this game against the San Francisco 49ers. That hamstring is not ready. They were hopeful that it would be within 2 to 4 weeks. This was week 3. Charles Cross is not going to be ready for this one, unfortunately. So how are the Seahawks going to be able to slow down that pass rushing attack of the San Francisco 49ers? Well, they're probably going to have to lean on Josh Jones. Now, Jones has had a pretty stellar year so far this year. Again, he's a swing tackle. He's a quality backup tackle in the National Football League. He has got to find a way to be healthy in this one for me. Obviously, right now, he's listed on the injury report as questionable. There is still a belief and a hope that he will be ready to go. But I'll tell you right now, I am worried when it comes to this offensive line and just frankly where they're at in this matchup. I believe that as you look at this offensive line, whether you have your starting left tackle or not, you cannot falter in this high pressure of a moment. This offensive line has to play as well as they have been playing before this game, because if they play as well as we know they can, that means our running game is going to be finding open holes. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet continue to play better and better every single week. We need this offensive line opening up holes for them to continue to do that. And of course, with Sam Darnold, when he doesn't feel pressure, he performs at his best. So don't let him get there. Next, let's take a look at our secondary, because we do have a couple of players from our secondary that is on the injured report, and it is important to go and mention both of them. Now, I think the big injury that we have to talk about, of course, is safety Coby Bryant and where he's sitting at this year. He was a top 5 guy in tackles before he got hurt. He's number 2 on your team in interceptions before he got hurt. Coby Bryant has been Mr. Do-It-All, and he's been great in that free safety spot, in that free safety zone, because what he is doing is he's kind of cleaning up the mess for everyone else. And when you look at his entire 2025 stat sheet, it's been pretty darn good, including a couple of TFLs, which you don't always see from a safety. He is dealing, of course, with that knee injury that he suffered against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, he is listed as doubtful for this game. That doesn't mean that he is completely out. Obviously, he went from someone who's a limited participant early on in the week. He didn't participate in practice on Wednesday, and now he's listed as doubtful. I think he's one of those game time decisions where if the Seahawks feel like they have to use him, they will, but it's clear that they do not want to use him. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that not wanting to use him and the Seahawks still finding a way to come away with a victory are two things that can happen, one in the same. We'll see how it goes down, though. How do you feel right now about the Seahawks injury report? It's pretty extensive, and you got a couple of starters on there. Plus, we haven't even gotten to the big injury news of the day. So let us know what you think about the Seahawks injury report. I'm definitely worried about it. I'll tell you that right now. Next, we got to talk about Ty Okada because, look, he's the replacement for Coby Bryant, and he's been on the injury report all week long. Now, I do think it's important to mention with Ty Okada that he clearly does not have as severe of an injury as Coby Bryant. He is someone who has been on the injury report, but he's still been participating in practice all the way through. And that is important to talk about, of course, because just because you are on an injury report doesn't mean that that's going to keep you out of a game. In fact, there's a lot of times that you're going to see players on injury reports that are 100% fine and are able to play on Sundays or Saturdays in this case. And it does look like Ty Okada is going to be one of those guys. He's been fantastic in relief this season. We've had to see him start a lot of football games at that strong safety and at that free safety position, and he's been excellent. And a lot of the issues that he had early on in the season, they are gone now, or mostly gone. He doesn't miss tackles in open field really that much anymore. He's been great in coverage, and he does a great job of working downhill. Ty Okada, he's going to be able to go in this one. And if Coby Bryant isn't able to go, which it kind of looks like it's going to be that way, I do trust Ty Okada to get the job done against a team that does a great job in the San Francisco 49ers of utilizing the middle of the field. The last player that we have to talk about is Rashid Shaheed's injury status. And I'll tell you right now, it's actually a turn for the good news, which I do appreciate when it comes to Rashid Shaheed. Before we do that, though, I need to let you know about the sponsor of today's video, and this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. New feature alert! Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tailor fade our picks with just one click. I have a 3-pick power play for this weekend. CMC more on his rush plus receiving TDs. JSN more on his rush plus receiving TDs. Sam Darnold more on his pass yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now we got to take a closer look at Rashid Shaheed. Obviously, he got thrown down to the ground by Michael Jackson. There was a little bit of a fear that he was going to be out for this game, and I think it was a fair fear. Obviously, he got put into the concussion protocol, and that can be kind of fickle. Not a lot of players are able to come back quickly from that concussion because it's not like a normal injury. You don't just get to say, hey, actually, my shoulder feels fine, right? It's not a shoulder injury. It's not a knee injury. Hey, I'm 80%. I'm good to go. It's a head injury. So when it comes to concussions, you either play or you don't because you have to pass that concussion test. It looks like Rashid Shaheed is going to be able to do that when you look at his stats so far on the year. Now, a lot of those stats, especially the receiving yards and receptions, most of them, including the touchdowns, are from his time when he was in New Orleans. Seattle hasn't done as good of a job, I believe, at using him in the passing game, although he's come up with a couple of big catches, and I do think that is important. Shaheed playing in this matchup is massive, not just because of what he adds to your wide receiver room, but because of what he adds to that special teams. He has a big play waiting to happen, and it feels like the Seahawks are getting more and more comfortable using him in their receiving game, in their play action game as well. You're starting to see him get open deep more and more often. The other thing about Shaheed, his ability to get loose at any moment makes life easier for everyone else. JSN's life gets a lot easier when it comes to his stats when Shaheed is out on the field because at any moment, Shaheed can go to that house. At any moment, he can go the distance. He is the type of player that at any moment, and I do mean any moment, he can take it to the crib and score very easily. Cooper Kupp, your number 2 receiver. Guess what? You definitely want Rashid Shaheed out on the field because it opens things up short for Cooper Kupp. That's a spot where he can really take advantage. And you've also seen A.J. Barner do a fantastic job of taking advantage of open gaps and open holes there in zone or man coverages. You need Shaheed being back, and Shaheed makes this offense as explosive and as scary as it possibly can be. I'm going to ask you right now, it is the day before the matchup. It is the day before the Seahawks take on the 49ers. What do you think the final score will be? I know I gave a pick earlier on where I had the Seahawks up on the 49ers, and I'm not changing it at all. Seahawks are going away with a victory. We're going to be live doing a watch party, myself and Searle. So make sure that you come in an hour before kickoff. Have a lot of fun with us because the Seahawks are going to come out on top and get that NFC 1 seed. I told you, reel them in. Help us out. We're so freaking close to catching Dolphins today and becoming one of the biggest channels here on Chat Sports. We're reeling them in ever so slowly. So help us out. Hit that sub button. What you're going to get daily Seattle Seahawks content for free. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time.